to order. Call to order. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Like to have a moment of silence for the officers in Pennsylvania. Thank you. Audience citizens, you have an audience of citizens. There we go.
No one else is on the Zoom, but so.
Oh, is that Pat?
Just the chip, yeah.
The only one that's on. I didn't even recognize you.
Okay, we need the approval of the minutes for August 20th. Any corrections, deletions? And commissioners?
Not that I saw.
Yeah, it's like.
I'll make the motion to approve the meeting minutes for meeting of August 20th, 2025.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have a special meeting for the Police Commission minutes, August 25th, 2025. Do you have any corrections, deletions?
No, I will make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for the special meeting of August. Oh, I'm sorry, is it August 25th, 2025.
Second,
Wasn't.
all in favor?
Aye.
So we're, what I assume is correspondence is from the town of Berlin, office of the town manager. Would that be correct, you guys? That the correspondence? It's the guidelines for urban strategy, capital expenses.
No.
So that's a budget directive.
Well, I
You
guess
wanna
it is
just
kind of.
discuss it now and get it over with, because it wasn't in front of the package.
We can talk budget. I have another piece of correspondence which may seem a little self-serving, but I'll pass these around. This is an email I just got regarding Rowan Fair. And then we can talk about this packet a little, because I have some other documents for you regarding the budget.
Okay.
So.
Well, then we'll do them together with this right now.
We can do those together.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just one.
I'm like,
I was so gripped by it, actually.
thanks for thinking so much. I'll leave it alone. That just came in.
No, this, I completely agree with this. Absolutely.
And honestly, she called me before the fair and I called in to talk to Joe and just said, yep, we already got it covered. We planned on going to both booths. Rate it that first day on 4 or whatever it is they open. And they did that, which basically I talked to them out of their church side or something. So we, I don't think that had any issue.
Absolutely, completely agree. You guys did a fantastic job.
Very nice, thank you. All right, moving on to the, do you have anything else? Deputy Chief,
No, we can move on to this back.
how about this town of Berlin office from the town manager?
So much to my dismay, we are already doing budget for the next year. I'm like, this can't really be budget stuff again, is it? But these are just some additional documents and I'm gonna pass out a couple of things that we'll discuss. So one of the documents, the first one on the list there that says Department Strategy, that is a document that is due September 30th of this year. And actually,
Should you do it?
I'm going to pass you the budget document from last year, so you can take a look. And if you want to pass those around.
We have,
So you can just see what we did for our budget strategy for last year. And this one here, you can see it says FY 27. That's the following budget, pass those around. This is my suggestion for our strategy.
That's exactly what I was wondering if you were gonna move.
For
on to
this
school
year.
officer. Very good.
Right.
Thank you for.
So I talked to the chief earlier and we came up with these and I'm just gonna, if you want, I'll just cover them with you briefly. The first one is basically, we're staying on our agenda to increase the staff of the police department. Our ultimate goal, as we've discussed here, and the directive from the police commission is we want to get to 50 personnel as shown by the studies that we've done that indicated that that's what we need. So we currently are staffed at 47. So we were gonna ask for 2 more for this year, we're up to 49. I mean, ultimately, we'd like to get to 50. So I guess the question is, we could just ask for 50, or we could ask for 2, the way we've been doing it every year. And then the following year, try to get 1 more and then max out on 50. My thought is, this is just a gut feeling of mine. I think that we're going to be able to get to 48, and I think anything over that's gonna be a battle. So that's probably where we're gonna need intervention on your part during budget hearings and stuff, because this is my personal feeling, just with the hearings that I've been in and stuff. I think they would give us the 48, but I don't know that they're gonna go any farther than that. We have provided with them the justification for going to 50. We did 2 different studies, we brought those here as well. And both of those studies came up with the same number based on our information here in Berlin, is that our staffing level in the town of Berlin should be 50 officers, so. So I guess it's up for discussion whether we want to just go for 50 for this year. We're not gonna get 50, but I mean, generally, we've been trying to do 2 a year. We only got 1 last year because we got the FO acquisition. So I guess I'm
So
just,
we got 40, so we were approved for 47, how are we doing with 47?
yeah, we're working on the 47th. We mentioned to you that we had an officer that left that's looking to come back. And he's been seeking a lot more information. And so I think we're getting a little closer to that. And if we could do that, that would be a great thing.
Yeah.
Lieutenant Solik just did another round of interviews yesterday. So we have a few people, two passed, and I'm gonna be honest with you, we tried to get like a full day of interviews. And we had the people that the chief had picked out that was still left on the test, and then he ended up calling 10 more people. We could only get 5 interviews and 1 canceled. And 2 of them passed the interviews and have gone on to do an initial background check as far as just some initial paperwork, so.
Are they
Right.
aware of the fact that we may have a return officer possibly in the wings? I wouldn't know that.
No. However, we've also been given guidance by the finance board that if we were to be at 47 and the perfect opportunity arose, like the officer that used to work here that's looking to come back,
Reach out to them.
that we might be able to go back to them. And I think that if we had an officer that lived in town, that's already certified, that already worked for the Berlin Police Department,
Be a no-brainer.
I think it would probably be a no-brainer. I think they'd probably go with that. And really, the only reason he left was he went to a federal agency and that.
Oh, I know
it
exactly.
Involved a lot more travel, I think, than he
Awesome.
thought, and for family wise, he
Yeah.
decided this isn't gonna work with my family, so now he's back here again, he lives here. They just moved back, so,
Be
and
thrilled to have
he
that.
asked a lot of educated questions as to how we can bring him back in, what level he would be at. And
What level did he leave at?
well, he was at step 6, he was top step.
Can he come back in step 6?
We would bring him back, we would bring him back at the top step, and he had some questions about vacation and stuff, and he really should be brought back in with the vacation level that would be commensurate with step 6, where he was before.
Did he have more than that in the past?
No, he was at step 6,
So
so
you're
that's,
you're making him whole like if.
we would make him whole as if he didn't leave.
That's fine.
Your question, did he abandon some fixed as vacation time and get back? or
What's
something?
that?
Is that what you're saying? Like accumulated?
No, I'm just wondering if there's any penalty for leaving.
No, because.
Well,
all he said is already-
Well, there is sort of a
Well,
penalty because
that's
you
right.
lose seniority. You come back in a day one seniority wise, and there's nothing we can do to get away with that, that's a union issue.
Okay.
But we do have the option of bringing them in at a higher
Exactly.
pay level.
That's right.
Does that affect his possibility of promotion?
No, he still has to go 3 years before he can take a sergeant's test. Because
There is the,
3 of our years, three new years, because I guess we're gonna have to read that.
I haven't read the one in the contract.
Because technically, he has 3 years here as an officer, so would he qualify for
Yeah,
sergeant?
that's not good if you have someone.
We'd have to talk to the union.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
we'd have
but
to talk to the union on that.
is that possibly something we can negotiate with you?
Yeah, well, you can't, well, no, because it's in the agreement.
It's not really something on the table right now. Anyway.
I don't think I don't think he would expect that anyways. But we're gonna sweeten the pot as much as we can to get him to come back with
He's
whatever
awesome,
we
yeah.
can do within the limits of our contract and the union agreement. So we're gonna try and get him back, so. And I don't know if these other two are gonna pan out, but
I like to play it for you.
I think 49 is the way to go, because we're not looking to be outrageous either.
I've got a couple other certificates.
You know, if we put in for 49 and we get 48, then maybe we piecemeal for the next few years, I don't know. I mean,
Well, if we get to 48, then the following year we can ask for 49. It's only one.
exactly, right,
Or we'll just get the 49 now, you never know.
right. Yeah, we'll see, we'll see. So number 2 has to do with our renovations. The funding has been approved for Humes to complete the construction plans so that it can go out for bid, and we're hoping that they'll be able to send that out to bid by this winter. Unless the chief has any better updates than me, I think that was our estimate, probably by this winter, we thought they could go out to bid.
Yeah, I think he's trying to do the numbers before December.
Right, right. So, number 3 is, and we've talked about police vehicles a little bit, and I had a conversation with Jim Simons today. Talking about vehicles, and his plan is to ask for 5 vehicles this year. We had our 2 K9 cars. That are really getting up there in mileage, and one of them in particular is starting to break down more often. And it's difficult with the K9 cars because we don't have spares. However, the K9 cars last a lot longer because one person drives.
Correct.
And they bring them home, they park it in their driveway, and then they drive it back to work again. They don't have any off-duty use or anything for it, but they do take it back and forth in case they need to get called out for something. So, and we're falling behind a little bit, so we're gonna ask for 5 cars so that we can replace at least 3 cruisers and do the 2 K9 cars this year. So that's gonna be our submission. Number 4 basically has to do with this new FOI position. We have hired somebody for the FOI position.
You did.
She's really fantastic. She worked for the probation department. She was involved with, when we do these warrant sweeps around the state. She puts the packets together for probation.
Oh, nice.
And does a lot of the work for the agencies doing these sweeps. She's CJIS certified, she's collect certified, she knows all the people at the court. She came highly recommended by the court, including Mary Rose Palmise. So, really, she was an absolute home run. She's going to retire from the state as of October 1st. She's gonna take a couple of weeks off to spend with her family. And then mid-October, I think it's October 13th, she's planning on starting with us.
So
And
that
I
was,
think
that would have
that's
been
gonna
my
be a
question.
home run. And really, the chief and I have talked about this a lot, and we're gonna have a framework for what we believe this position is gonna have the room to do. And we're really gonna have to be flexible and adapt as we go. She's really a go-getter. She wants to be busy. So the question is, how much time in a 3-day week does it take to do FOI?
But what if she goes over that time? And she
Well,
needs to-
we could do overtime should an emergency FOI come up or something, but the likelihood for that is not that much. It's 3 days a week. So that's pretty much a set number.
Well, the records requirement is that we provide the documents in a prompt manner. If we have
Right.
one person,
Right,
it's as prompt as she can do it.
some departments, that's running 6 months right now.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
Larger agencies, maybe a lot
So
longer.
she's a go-getter. I think that's good.
So really the big question is, if FOI doesn't take all 3 days, we wanna fill those
That's the
other
other
times.
thing, right?
So we can have her do non-essential fingerprints, she's done those before. We can have her work on other issues within the police department that we need help with, like, for instance.
Have a line.
Every criminal case we have now, the court asks for all the video. And right now, we have an officer that does all of paperwork who does that, but she could take up that duty, free him up for other things. Court paperwork as well. Probably not the court paperwork, we would probably have him do that, but as far as all the videos from the cases, because that takes a long time.
Yeah.
So anyways, we just need to be flexible that first year and make sure we communicate with her and fill her time. So that we get the most bang for our buck out of that money.
So we're gonna get 20 hours of labor,
See how
if
it
somebody
goes.
knows what they're doing, we never have it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's
she's
that's a
she's
next-
really good. She hasn't specifically done FOI, but she deals with sensitive information all the time. There.
Hmm.
So,
Where's she gonna sit?
we are gonna put a little desk in the records office for now. As a part of the realignment of the police department. That small office that you walk through to get to the chief's office where Marlene is now, that's gonna be the FOI office. Marlene moves one office to the right where I am, and then there'll be an entrance to go back to the chief's office. Then the next room over, which is currently the conference room, that becomes my office. And then the locker rooms, the women's and men's locker rooms, it's a little bigger.
I like that
It's a little bigger, I didn't think that up, I might have. And so the locker rooms area become basically a support services wing. It has both your lieutenant, your sergeant, and we're having put enough space for 6 cubicles in there. So we have room for light duty people, which right now we're just cramming them in every little space we can find. So, so that's the plan for that. That's the only budget directive. The only other thing that we need to decide on is these are 2 pages. This is a 2-page document. This is our fee schedule for the police department. That's not due for a while. But, so if you wanna take the next month and just look over this fee schedule, and if you have any suggestions.
Most of these we can't touch, right?
It's pretty vanilla, and some of these you can't really touch, because there's a lot of mandates that have to do with like FOI that you can't charge people, or you can only charge a minimum fee, and.
Did we make an
So-
adjustment last year?
We did raise a couple of them, some smaller ones last year, but. I just need authorization from you that's the document we're gonna set forward to the budget for the next year, so. Take your time, look through it, if there's anything you think needs to be adjusted, and I'm actually gonna do the same, because I just printed this out for myself today. So we can have a discussion of that in the next meeting, I'll add that, so what?
Very good.
Other than that, that's all that's due right now, so I don't know if you have any other questions about budgets, the other stuff kind of comes later on.
Well, actually, the finish this particular document I'm looking at is under new business, so we can move on from, there's basically no correspondence except for what we just did now. And we're looking at old business, the renovations. Would anybody like to speak on how that's going?
So the renovations to the other part that were already complete are primarily done. Mr. Humes was in the police station within the last week with Rob Martin going over the last of the punch list of a couple quick items. I actually was hearing on the radio tonight that the Sally Port's malfunctioning again. Like they can raise it, but they can't lower it. So we'll have to get them back in and take a look at that.
That's one call also.
Yeah, I think there's a
You
problem.
can open the door, you can close it.
Apparently.
We always try to, the only good thing is trying to get called out.
I'm having the salary.
You can do it manually though, I think.
And so there's a couple of punch list items that we're working on, but the first part is substantially complete and moving on to the second part, and the second part of the construction will be a phased project.
And when does that start? Is there anywhere in it?
Well, we have to wait for them to go out to bid. We're hoping to go out to bid this winter, and then maybe by the first of the year. We've got some bigs on and maybe get started. It'd be a great minor project.
Communication repair update. How's that going?
So our new radio system is complete. It's working very well. We had a couple of glitches, like with the microphones and dispatch that we've worked out. We had to replace microphones with a different type of microphone. The noise canceling ones sounded like they were talking underwater, so we switched those out. That sounds a lot better. As far as the issue that I told you about last time, in that we're having trouble with radio service in the building itself.
Right.
We have a rough estimate from Norcom to put boosters into the building, and that would cost somewhere between $50,000 to $60,000. We're probably gonna be able to scale that down towards the lower end, because we're not gonna put boosters in the locker rooms, we wanna just put speakers.
Mhm.
So anyone in the locker or the bathroom will be able to hear the radio. They won't be able to transmit, but they'll know if someone's calling them and they can come out. The safety part of that was we need the radios to work in both the Sally port and booking, and that's where those boosters are covered. So they are now working on a hard estimate, which will be like an exact dollar amount to do your project. I've already talked to Kevin Delaney, and we believe there's somewhere around 70-something thousand left radio project. So that will be the final piece, but other than that, we're done. I think the system works great, and we're pretty happy with it. We have our tri-band radios now. We have 2 radios in the supervisor's vehicles. All the lieutenants and chiefs have tri-band radios, so that we can not only talk to people on our frequency, but people on other frequencies. And we can talk to other surrounding departments for quite a ways away.
Do you have a completion date for the repairs to this location?
No, we don't even have a hard quote yet. I wouldn't think it would take long for them to install that once we give them the actual official okay. But it'll have to go to the town council, so once they give us a hard number, then whenever the next council meeting is, we'll bring it to their attention, and we'll ask for authorization to spend that, and then I'm gonna get it.
I'd like to just also mention that apparently there's one other, we talked about it last month, in the block camera
So,
system.
Chair, we want to acknowledge Commissioner joined us at 6:53. Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
No, 13 and so, okay. We're
Didn't discuss the flop stuff, I sent you guys that flop.
Yeah, I think it's one of the lieutenants.
What I'm suggesting is that for the October meeting, that Lieutenant Solik might want to consider doing another presentation to the public again. There seems to be a lot of misunderstandings about the use of these cameras. That they're tracking their license plates, that they're watching them run through stop sign and stoplight. None of that's the truth. And this information is deleted after, I believe, 30 days. It's strictly for following a perpetrator through town.
Right.
That's correct.
And essentially, all that system does was take a picture of the car and records the license plate number.
Okay.
And that is all. It does not run the plate.
Right.
It doesn't know who owns it. It doesn't know if you have a license or if you're wanted or where you're from. All it does is give a plate number. And for us to go in and access that data, we have to have a law enforcement reason to do that, which means we have a case number associated with that. So it's the same thing as if you run a plate and collect. You have to have the same justification to go into
Right.
Flock to look for that system. So yeah, there's misconceptions about that. My only hesitation with that is the more information you put out, the more people are gonna complain too. So you kind of have to weigh, are we not gonna just stir the hornet's nest by putting more information out versus not?
I think clarification on it is appropriate at this point. Okay? Thank you.
Can I just add to that discussion? They're also getting a lot of media attention because of the shooting in West Hartford, where the officer chased the guy in the car. And yesterday, the attorneys for the deceased who tried to he stole a car, then he abandoned that car after a chase and tried to carjack another car and got shot. It involved the canine. It's a West Hartford case. The lawyers for the estate are now suing for the state of Connecticut and West Hartford and everybody, because they're saying if the block camera system wasn't used, then the bad guy who got shot wouldn't have got caught, and then he could still be alive. So that was all over the news yesterday, WFSB, TNH, and it's making a big, it's in the Hartford Current and all. So we're going to see more of that. I kind of agree with Drew. I think if we put out too much information, we put it out a couple times, all we're doing is confusing the general public who's listening to the media, and the media is not good for the use of these cameras right now.
I don't know, I think it's more of a reason than ever to be trying to inform the public on what this really is, because I mean, it's not like, as to your point, Mr. Chair, these aren't on every single traffic signal or anything like that. They're limited in their scope and they certainly are limited in their use. And
You know, what we could do is come up with an explanation of how the cameras work and an explanation of what data it actually collects, and we can put that on our website.
absolutely,
I think that's,
and people will watch that stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
And if they really are looking for the data, they can go right to our site.
would that make sense to like kind of come like,
that's-
almost like a presentation kind of thing that you can speak to, that people can go back and watch and we can just refer people back to?
Yeah, they're,
Yeah, and I think it's important to know too, when we're talking about this technology, this is license plate reader technology, I don't really like using the specific brands. Because the brand's not important,
Yeah.
license plate reader is a license plate reader. Like in that case, West Hartford, he's talking about, these companies have deep pockets, so that's what I bring them into lawsuits. So
you gotta wonder, is this
reasons why they're.
incident yesterday?
Oh, sure, for years.
These companies have
We have on our
existed for
version. Well,
15 years.
one of our- Yeah, they've been around for a long time.
There's companies I don't need, there's so many, I don't know the names of all of them, there's different towns all throughout the state, different companies, there's countless companies. that
Yeah.
do the
So
same
what are we
thing.
saying here? We're just
Well, I
doing.
think it would be kind of a,
Readers.
I think it'd be kind of a compromise if the chief is good with it. We could film some sort of a presentation, we could just put it on our website. And that way, if people want to look for it, it's there, and if somebody asks a question, we can direct them there.
I don't think you even need to film something, that's a lot more work, I think if you just put a write-up,
Basic
Write up,
point
An
explanation.
explanation.
just a 1-2 page write-up.
Inform the public
What
what
is
they are.
flock is, blah, 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 what are license plate readers, you know, how are these used by the department?
Yep.
You know, we have a policy, yes, we have a policy.
And I can tell you, there'll be, the same amount of people will love that we have the ability to use the technology as will not like. So.
No, that sounds like fair compromise.
The only reason I was like presentation.
So we'll
We wanna
agree
work
to
on a,
do,
Reading is
so
hard.
we'll agree to do this for October.
And listening might,
That's fine.
you know, that's where I come from, is that, you know, the,
I think it should be a video, I really do, I would rather.
I think if people are more likely
Do
to
a video,
listen
people enjoy it, you know, you can-
there versus read.
we make it simple for people and a 5-minute video or whatever,
Less.
would be perfect, yeah.
If you can get it on TikTok, that would be really great.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, we do have a training program going on how to use the website. So
we actually.
There you go.
Do we come up with a policy yet on the flock?
Yes.
Do we have that? Has that been
I
shared?
emailed it to everybody.
I don't-
Actually, you have,
I don't
sorry,
get
I
any
forgot
emails.
that.
Yeah, and then, while we're on that, just, it has like the locations and everything, I'm curious to see where they're posted up.
Oh, I can go
We
over.
can give you a list of that, yeah.
You want me to go over them now?
No.
We have 11 of the
That's,
12 installed and running. That last one, they were tinkering a little bit with sunlight and
I
making.
mean, we could discuss, that's, you know, investigative protocol, so we can start that executive session.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Alright. So we're gonna leave this subject right now with an agreement that in October, there's gonna be something on the webpage or.
We'll work on it. If for some reason we can't get it there by then, we'll explain why, but I would think we should be able to get something by then.
No, we appreciate
I
it.
got my own son.
We're not concerned.
He's got another big job he's
Okay.
working on now, we'll talk about later, but you could probably squeeze that in.
It would be greatly appreciated, thank you. So we have the Berlin Fair wrap up. Would anybody like to comment on the Berlin Fair wrap up? I realize you have to wait for things additionally to come back, but. It's pretty short wrap up, but what can you say? Any
Right.
issues at the fair?
So by the next meeting, we'll have the official write-up from Lieutenant Fields, but the fair went very, very well. It was very well attended. I don't think there was any days that we like got hammered with people. It was more like it was steady all the way through this year. And I think a big factor was the weather. The weather was consistent throughout. Because if we have a situation where the weather's gonna be not good on Sunday, everybody comes on Saturday and it really becomes a big
Yeah.
problem. But this year, everything was spread out, like even Friday was good. Thursday is a nice local crowd, so Thursday's good. The only problem we had, and frankly, we have this every year. Saturday, we had a fight and our officers had to go break this fight up. We ended up arresting three individuals. We brought one in full custody, the other two were summoned out. And as that was happening, we got reports of multiple fights up in the midway, which is where the rides are, that very front row. And I think really what it turned into be, because we never actually confirmed that another fight actually took place. But we do know for a fact that there was a group, at least one group of kids in there with a camera filming, and they were filming these scenarios. And I think what they were doing is filming like these fight scenes, and they were broadcasting that, and then people were interpreting that as this is a fight, and then they would go somewhere else and do the same thing. And so the information was bizarre that got out, like somebody was running, they have a knife, or somebody has a gun, and none of that was ever true. So we managed it with what we had, and it was just the usual stuff, people from out of town. Probably shouldn't say people from out of town. Generally, Friday night is mostly our local kids, and they really don't have any problems, but Saturday, we get a lot of people from other communities and a lot of problems with those kids, so.
All right, very good. Anybody else have any comments on the Berlin Fair?
I like those new, 4-inch barriers at the driveway entrances.
So the orange barriers, those came from the state. That is a statewide asset. They actually bring them, drop them off, come back and pick them up.
Really?
And my understanding is that those things will stop a tractor trailer dead at like 40 miles an hour. They run into that.
Yeah.
So they are impressive. They look very impressive and they make quite a statement. I think there's a lot of people commented on it, and they are mobile. At the end of the fair, when we need to get cars in and out, they'll move them out of the way.
They're really good for crowd management.
And it's a great asset. The state was like, yep, we'll bring them down, set them all up for you. We'll come back and pick them up.
We'll take advantage of that in the future.
Fantastic. We will definitely have those there every year from now on.
Well, moving on to what's circled as number 5, which is which I was referring to earlier, town Berlin office of the town manager. You had touched upon the September 30th, it's already the 17th, but you should have that under control. I mean, they understand operational increases due to higher inflation, that's just accepted.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
that's not an issue.
those will be more of the line items of the budget later on.
So the current capital plan, it looks like we're being expected to do this a little farther out than in the past, is that correct? That would be.
Well, they always project out for like a 10-year plan. So, and that's why I was saying that, we're gonna try and move up the K-9 vehicles, which would not have been in next year's budget, it would have been the year after, but we're gonna bump those up because. We really need to get those.
Right, you already discussed on personnel asking for additional officers. The new cruisers, that's good. The next page, it says, you can go to the bottom of the page, it says, I ask, that each budget submit reflect the following concepts. Any out-of-state overnight travel, seminars, conference requests for detailed and then submission of financial narratives. I assume that happens when you guys do trips out to Florida, for the criminal or police or cadet programs, does that all fall under that category?
Yeah, everything, any type of a expenditure in a trip like that, we have to get a PO number for that. We have to
Oh, you do?
explain what it's for and what the.
What if you don't already know what it is? Like, how do you plan for something that,
Annual conferences haven't all been announced.
yeah, but like, what if there's another conference or training that you need to go to?
Oh, we do this throughout the year. We do it all year.
Oh, so
If
it's
a conference comes up, somebody wants to go to, they'll send it up through the chain of command. If we think it's a good conference, we'll authorize it and then,
but you don't need to write it up.
no,
Okay, that'll be good.
Then going to number 4, it's the department head expected to perform evaluations. And then it says in black highlight, once the budget is adopted, you should assume the town will not be able to find money to fund items that were not included in your budget submission. But is that like a hard hold on possibly overtime overruns? Generally, we transfer money around in our own budget
yeah,
in worst case scenario.
but
We can still
in
do
that case, it's money coming from within our own budget.
Exactly, right.
So it's not, that doesn't come into play. That's like if I
Okay.
say, hey, I need a new car. But I don't have any funding for it. They're gonna say, well, then you should have budgeted for that, you know?
Okay.
So there's those kinds of things.
And then again, you give us the fee schedule is attached to this also that you gave us the latest one.
Yep.
Earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so we're gonna move on from, number 5 was the, FY 2027. Budget preparation. We're gonna move on to the Chief's monthly report. Chief, would you like to comment?
Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm having problems with the computer. I'm working off 2 computers here, so, it was a tough month, for me because I, had a lot of things planned and nature got in the way of that. So, my report's kind of short, but I did put in the report a couple different things that I thought were of note. One was it's National Preparedness Month every September, and during this month, we're supposed to be starting on our annual active shooter training. I talked a little bit about in the beginning about the school thing because after the shooting in Minneapolis, there was a lot of concern. So we jumped on that, and actually, what we did in Berlin ended up being copied in the surrounding towns around us and all too, and some other places like Cheshire and all. And then rail safety is always a big deal for us because we have the 2 different rail tracks going through town, and they love to use the center of the state. So I was involved with that C-Rail Think Train program again this year, and talk a little bit about that. I know in my report I mentioned there was about 100 volunteers are for the fair. You'll get more information next month on it after the after action at the fair, but just to give you a heads up, I put it in my report. Hartford, Fairfield, and Danbury police departments provided their cadet programs with their adult advisors. Many of them, the majority of them, are sworn police officers. So we don't pay them anything. That's a deal that I've worked out with the Lions Club, but it also supplements us on the property with our security profile and everything. And then so I'm going to send letters out when I get there was a book on property. I'm going to send individual letters to all the departments chiefs. I've got that already ready to go. The officers that came with the cadets, they're going to get letters from me, from my office, and then I will individually send letters to all the cadets from those agencies that came up on the weekend and assisted our cadet program, which our program is looking for new cadets right now. We lost a lot of senior cadets to college this year, and so our number is very small right now. And then we're still trying to hire. Drew already mentioned that, to get to the 47. We're not having a lot of luck with really good candidates. It's become a real issue this time around too. So, and other than that, traffic enforcement as usual is a priority, and I was happy the fair went off without a hitch, and we're looking forward to next year having the same fair. And also, that's it.
That's very good, and I appreciate you reaching out to all the people, all the other departments that assist us at the Berlin Fair, especially for no pay. That's amazing. It's wonderful.
Yeah, and this year was usually I'm on property to coordinate it, but that didn't work out this year. So I got to tell you that the officers that came from the other departments and our 2 officers, DePinto and Bennett, really stepped up and coordinated. Plus, in the past, we actually had a pop-up tent in the fairgrounds. This year, we didn't have that. But from what I've been told from all these other officers and other agencies, they like the setup that we had this year better. We utilized our new radio system, which was great because everybody was on the same frequency. And I've heard nothing but that it was an easy year for them after 3 years of trying to figure out how we're going to do this. So I'm definitely going to make sure that their chiefs know they did a lot of extra work.
The cadets were always on different radio systems in the past. Now they can all talk to one another.
Yeah, they used our old frequency, which is still in
Yeah.
operation.
And I have to say, all the kids from the cadets from surrounding towns and the Berlin cadets, their presence was known, they were friendly. I thought they were a great asset to have at the fair, you know, and a great presence. They all handled themselves very maturely, so I was really impressed by all that were there.
It's wonderful. Listen, the one thing I am concerned with because of all the national press that we're hearing about. Hardening targets. Do we ever consider doing that with like any of the churches or any of the things that say? It's unfortunate, but the shooting that did happen with the kids at the school when they were at church on the first day, it's terrible.
We do, actually, the chief is probably our biggest expert in this area, he's had a lot of training in that, and we've had different companies call us, and we will go out to those companies. And provide them information on hardening their businesses.
Well, this would also include
Some of the, we did
churches.
that with Eversource and stuff like churches, anybody can call us, frankly, a resident can call us. And
We reach out to them at all when we know that they may have an issue possible.
They pretty much reach out to us,
They reach
like,
out to us.
Tom's and, the bigger corporations in town. I'm just, their
Yeah, so-
directors of security, they send my office their crisis plans, I review them, I'll make suggestions, I send them back to them. With the chemicals, I'm one of a few people in the state that there's chemical vulnerability threat for Homeland Security. So I get called not just from people in Berlin, but from all over actually. But I only have been doing the ones in Berlin. So I mean, we don't have a huge department where we could dedicate somebody to do that on a weekly basis, but we are ahead of the curve compared to most of the places that are small in our size around us. But I'm really big on intelligence-led policing. If you haven't gotten that message after 3 years of me telling you this, the big thing is we have to have our partnerships with these corporations and the businesses. And the best way to have the partnerships is to help them when they have to go for their Homeland Security assessments, especially if they're dealing with chemicals and all. And I've been able to sign off on them. So it's a symbiotic relationship and it's working pretty well. I would definitely like to do more. And I think you're right to think that what we have going on right now in this country, a heightened sense of awareness. But I kind of feel like that our department's been at a heightened sense of awareness since November 1st when I got hired here, because I brought that with me. And I always put out intelligence information. Now we have an officer that's in the task force that does all that. And then we also I put out tons of Homeland Security information to all our personnel, our dispatchers and everything. Can we do more? Yeah, we have to actually start working a little bit closer, maybe with the town's emergency preparedness guy. But I've offered many times, I'd like to see us start a CERT team and do all that stuff, but nobody seems to be interested in that. I have citizens that want to do it, but that would take some assistance from the fire marshal's office and the town. And we've had some changes with the town manager. So when we get more stabilized, I think we could revisit that.
Well, that'd be great. I'd love to see us reaching out to make sure that any and all targets out there that aren't aware that they may be a target, somehow we have some way of reaching across and just saying, guys, you really should come to us. You know,
Yeah, one of our strong relationships is with Asa Abloy, you know, and we're very active with them, and they have a big security profile in town too. So, and some of the smaller businesses too.
We ever needed it.
What's that? Who's that?
So they offered us a robot if we ever needed it.
Did they really?
Yeah, they have
Yeah.
one of those robot dogs that's $2 million. If I needed it, I make a phone call to a phone number and they'll bring it to me. It's really cool.
Be an interesting demonstration for the public, wouldn't it? Just saying.
Yeah, we'd have to go to their property. I don't think we're gonna just bring it out in the public. You know, it's got some capabilities you might not want the public to have all that information on, because then they find a way to circumvent it.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you very much, Chief. That's the Chief's monthly report. We'll be moving on to number 7, which is patrol operations of Lieutenant Martin. I believe that there was some new prints that were sent to us, updated reports because we had.
That was, Lieutenant Joe's, I think the wrong month was in there and that probably should have. That's not in place, isn't it?
Just out of curiosity, on August 16th. It goes, this particular person, age 27, was stopped by Officer Patterson for an equipment violation and found to be DUI. I was under the impression that the state of Connecticut had stopped us from doing equipment violation stops, but apparently it was done here. How does that work? I don't understand.
You can't use an equipment violation as a pretext for other things. Like, you think they're doing drugs and they got a tail light out. Not supposed to do that anymore.
Well, that's kind of what this sounded like.
But I mean, like, if somebody has a tail light out, there's nothing stopping you from stopping them and saying, hey, you got a tail light out.
Okay, well,
It's
that's
really
the
kind of a
question.
safety issue.
So
at
that's
that
a
point.
safety issue.
I mean, what if they have two tail lights out?
I think the law states like the first violation is a warning.
Right,
Second violation is
Right.
like another warning, and the third is a ticket or something like
yeah.
that.
So if you stop them for that only, you're not really supposed to cite them for that unless it's been multiple violations.
But if you find something else,
And that's what happened in this case.
Yeah, so if you run his license and he's under suspension, well, that's no longer an equipment violation, that's a misdemeanor, so. Yeah, and in this case, he was DUI, so that was good work there.
All right, well, I was just wondering what the equipment violation was, because I thought that was.
5 DUIs for the month, very good.
Yeah.
Very proactive policing, the number of traffic stops, so. Yeah. At the end, the overtime report. We're looking at $61,000 for the month, it seems a little high. And then when you cross-reference it with a later report, I think you might have done. It looks like we're funded up to like 82 or 83%. Or is that put us in a worse position, seeing as that we're only.
Well, I can tell you that June, July is our big seasons for vacations as well, so generally those are higher. So technically, if you do the math and you do it equally month by month, we are a little bit behind, but not much, it was just a couple.
So we're still okay.
We're still okay,
That's the big hit.
We're still okay.
51 is-
which is surprising because, I mean, they cut $100,000 out of our budget. So,
Right.
Majority of the 61,000.
Which we agreed to.
Is for vacations.
well, vacations, and we
And
also.
July, August.
Yeah, I just get a little worried, cause like at the beginning of a budget,
We have more
you see
people.
61,000, if you were to extrapolate that 12 months, what that should.
But it's top heavy because July to August.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's always vacation heavy, and we also had a sergeant that was on leave. It was on administrative leave for a period of time. And then came back and then was put back on administrative leave. So it's not, that costs the whole time.
So in totality, we're actually doing pretty well.
83% is, should be about, you said about approximately 8% a month, so.
Yeah.
83%, probably 1% over.
Yeah.
Theoretically.
Yeah, we're right around there, and we've also had been authorized for 47 people for the last 2 months too, so we have a couple months of salary that we built up in there too, so if we have to fall back on that.
Okay.
far, so good.
All right, so that wraps up the patrol operations division. Lieutenant Martin, we're moving on to the guest investigative division, with Lieutenant Solik, who happens to be present.
Set up there, so. Just go over my normal report, some of the updates, I don't know if this was last month's, it's the CVS pharmacy, the dispatch report for a suspect in that robbery. So he's gonna face his charges in Florida that he picked up on with they are complete, then they'll notify him. That condition, that Connecticut.
That was the case I told you about the flock. We didn't even have flock, we just had a test trial and we tracked that car all the way to Florida. That was a robbery where he grabbed their purse and I could.
Yeah, I remember that.
So the flock camera just happened to be on trial, but it came very in.
Yeah, it was in the area, so we picked it up in the area, so.
Another, in August 13th, we had a multi-jurisdictional case that we ended up getting involved in. Where a domestic dispute began Middletown, traveled to Berlin, and ended up in Meriden, and there was stabbing that occurred in the vehicle. So he works with Middletown, Meriden, And ultimately, through interviews determined this, assault did not occur in Berlin, and ultimately. I think based on the highway ramps and things, the state police actually issued the investigation from Middletown. So. One of those ladies that many people have to get involved and put their hats together. So,
I don't know, state.
The Bureau in total in August, we had 3 death investigations, that we worked with the office chief medical examiners, all of them determined not to be criminal in nature, but they did, require extra investigation.
This was in the month of this
This
previous
is in
year.
August, yeah. August 16th, the early morning hours, officers responded to a broken auto sales for the smaller car dealerships on Berlin Turnpike for an active tire theft. I got called in. Officers responded, and suspects fled a Acura, which crashed into one of our marked cruisers while they were leaving the scene. The vehicle later crashed, which disabled it, and the suspects fled on foot. Patrol officers were able to arrest one suspect in a nearby neighborhood. And Bureau came in to assist with the procedure warrants for the vehicle, process the vehicle, recovered some stolen items from within it, and that investigation is continuing and are moving along nicely and identifying the other 2 suspects.
You know if that cruiser's back in the service?
And that was my undertaking, right?
Yeah,
Training, we had 1 Bureau member attend training, Senator Schreiner went to the FBI Command Leadership Institute training, it's a week-long training. It's a very good course, at some point attending the Executive Leadership Institute, that's the organization. We had 3 call outs in August. We had, I guess the flock project, we had 11 of our 12 yards operational, and one of my detectives is going to be doing the user training, probably starting this week or next, with all of our patrol officers, dispatchers, to get everything up and running, so they can utilize the system before and
Very good.
so.
Thank you very much. And moving on, so are we all set? Anybody else have any questions for?
Actually, one other thing for budget, I don't know if you noticed or not, but we had a lot of MSARS call outs. In the last 2 months,
Yes.
we had a bunch of those. That's under, I think it's under MSARS. I think that cost us $50,000 for a lot of call outs.
Any other questions for Lieutenant Solik on his report? If not, if you look to the juvenile. From to the chief from Detective Kevin Chafee. If we go to. Are there any questions there? Find it. If not, we move to there's a this looks like this might have been the updated one, the 24-25 annual juvenile report 7/11. And there's a what this one is it's the annual juvenile review. Would anybody like to comment on that? This is what may happen in the next 12 months. It's pretty extensive, there's a lot of reading, it looks pretty,
So we do our annual review, fiscal year, always been done that way. But this is just a summary of all the programs that our department offers to include their program. We've been doing for many years. Bicycle safety programs, I believe the same where it lives, which we started many years ago, and we continued that. It's sort of successful through spring and summer. The safety program is a kind of an offshoot of their program that was started for the elementary schools, where they offer their officer to come into one of the younger grades for mini lessons, so that's something that we offer to the schools if they can choose to accept. Obviously, we have the CAD program that was started a few years ago with members 1321. We have done forensic hands-on classes for local organizations like Cub Scouts in the past, and that's something we continue to do as requested. We have an adult workshop that our juvenile detective, Chafee and SRO Pinto attend. I think it looks like this last year, the alley, Officer Bennett also attended. The theme was raising resilient youth, that was at Berlin High School, organized by Youth Services. Department tours throughout the year, we hold tours for Cub Scouts, Girl Scouts, any groups of kids, from any organization that want to come through. Take a look at our police department, they visit our dispatch center, we show them how to hold themselves, they don't think that's cool, we take them to police cruisers and. Let them sit in the cars and play to microphones and, the kids and parents really love it. Another one we do is this past year we did send someone, but in past years we have sent an officer to the school on an EC trip. So
I see that.
Request that, typically we can send an officer.
It wasn't requested this year, or we didn't have some.
It was requested, we just didn't have anything. The timing was really bad.
What
And
was
none
it?
of the usual characters could go. Silent T wasn't available.
Was it DC trip at a different
Depends on
time
what
than last year? Was,
I don't know.
It used to be, like around spring break, but they moved it to like the start of
Shot
June.
couldn't make it, that's why they wanted us to know.
Yeah, so it used to be right before spring break, and now they moved it to the start of June. Yeah, it's a funky time, which makes it really hard, I think, for.
will we be able to accommodate them next year, knowing this from this year? I think that's-
Yeah, we would have accommodated them this year, we just couldn't make it happen, but it should have come up again next year. Usually either Tyler and Tanny or the SRO is available. So usually it's.
I'm sorry, if you'd like to continue, so.
Common ground program is going on at Youth Services has and in partnership with the high school, they have trips, activities, field trips, sometimes during school, sometimes after school, so our SRO with Pinto and the JV, a lot of times get involved in those, so go along with trips with the kids and it's more for social and reasons like that. For healthy leadership program, youth and SRO is remain involved in that program. Delta Cruiser is something we do every October, generate food items. For that's partners with youth services and food bank in town, all those donations go to our food bank. Just set up a stop and shop. We did a stuffed cruiser toy drive at the annual Christmas tree walk at the fairgrounds this past year. So that was a toys that get donated to local children, families in need, local social services, we'll get those to people who need them. Trunk or treat, is a yearly event, I believe last year it was not held, but they are planning to, look at that event in the future again, I think that's last year, I don't remember the last year. Keep that on the list, shop with a cop. So thanks to these services, they partner up with a local student to shop for kids in need, based on local services, social services needs. Juvenile guidelines and updates, this is something our juvenile detective does, review all of our guidelines and general orders pertaining to our juvenile administration operation and how we handle juveniles to make sure our policies are up to date. And after the review, they'll present that report to the city chief and chief for their review, if they make any adjustments that need to be made based on current bar changes.
Where do you hold the juvenile review board?
We the juvenile review
Yeah,
board.
where are they held here?
Yeah, that's the next item, the people review board, they had cases in the last fiscal year. So they're operating on a regular basis, I think the year before was a little bit slower, remember correctly, so. I don't want to say it's a good thing, but it is a good thing, because in these cases where these people are coming in for a reason, but they're being diverted, to try to prevent them from being more serious or things of that nature. And that's the whole purpose of that review board and working well in the way they have so. It kind of goes hand in hand with the MDT and multidisciplinary team, our people detective fees, I don't know if it's monthly or bi-weekly, fees regularly monthly. And that's with children and Spittenberg, and people from all in the region, any juvenile cases that are happening with the jurisdiction, so they get to perspectives and connect them to all the services that they need. So that's something he's been doing for a while. Okay.
That's all right, very good. I really appreciate you, covering that for us, thank you very much. Infrastructure's done. And now we move on to, sports services lieutenant Joe's. We have, the updated one that was handed out to us, the current one. Anybody have any questions there? You would have been in the second pack.
It's my doctor's. Alright, I don't get it.
Well, we have the report from, the updated report from, Sergeant Emery Haas. It looks as though it's pretty much the ditto of the old one, I don't know if we need, changes to speak of.
Yep.
Correct?
Right.
Okay. Okay, we have Megan Musanti's report, everybody, for training, cadet programs, community relations. Any questions there? This was the new one. Any questions from the commission? Nope. Okay. Anything? Okay. Beth, there. Operations for, report, for Drew Gallup. Do you have anything for it?
Nope, I think we kind of already talked about
I
that.
think so. Budget standing, we're all set. Freedom of information log, is there anything that anybody's interested in there? No. Let me just look, we have some extra paperwork there. We did. We had gotten the, what, Commissioner Giannone spoke about as far as the budget goes, that was at the very end here. It shows the 82.9%, but we discussed that. Or,
Yeah.
Is there any issues with the commissioners? This was added to us as far as our, summary of vehicle mileage. I don't think there's any questions there, correct? Good. Well, one other thing that was that I noticed we had gotten an email on before we go into executive session is there was, this was sent to us in our emails, guidelines for automatic license plate recognition. And this was dated March 13th of 2014, but at the very end, there's a revised that the chief himself had revised, I guess on 6/11/25. Chief, would you like to comment as to why we had that sent to us in the email?
Yeah, I sent it to you because you asked for it.
That was what we were asking
Yeah.
earlier.
You asked for it last time.
Yeah, was what we were looking
Commissioner
for.
United, that is the LPR policy.
Okay, I didn't get it, thank you though.
Yes, that's what you asked for.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can grab his, he printed it out.
Right.
No, it's printed out.
It's essentially the policy from Southington. Who had
They're all the same,
a
right?
million, and then we just altered it to make sure it fit our town, so.
It's like a
yeah.
uniform policy.
Yeah, exactly.
So you just take
Yeah.
it.
Just pretty standard.
You critiqued it for early.
We did.
Okay, very well. All right, then we'll take some time for you to this again.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. Can I touch on that, Commissioner, for a second? So that policy, when you look over it, does include a report every month that I will be providing to, so probably next month will be the first time you'll see that. I don't have it made up, I'll have to develop a
Okay.
framework for it, and that'll be our usage, our outcomes, and things of that nature, and it's basically an audit, so I have to do an audit. I think the policy might say 10 searches every month to ensure that they are compliant with what we should be using that system for.
Yeah, and I think more importantly, the successes of it would be really nice too, because that that provides us with a good return on investment
Yeah.
argument, you know, I think even just one good case, I think is worth the money that you spend, like the robbery that took off the robbery, we didn't even pay for it yet, and it's already all.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
We had we also had that near fatal motorcycle crash that was a flock.
The person survived that,
They
the
don't,
one in front of the,
yeah, he survived, right by the entrance to Stop and
That
Shop.
was a block, I thought that,
Yeah.
wasn't it the Stop and Shop camera that ultimately?
We had a Stop and Shop camera that did that as well.
That's where we got.
Oh,
That's where we got this
okay.
thing to run through LBR.
there was a second motorcycle accident where some young lady hit a bus or something like that.
Yeah, no, I believe she was passing inappropriately.
Yes,
That was
correct.
an MSARS call on it.
Okay,
But she survived. It
She
wasn't as
survived.
bad as they originally thought. There was just a lot of bleeding from a head injury, but it wasn't as bad.
good. That's great to hear.
Thank you, guys.
All right, well, at this point, we should entertain the idea of going into executive session. I'll imagine this is for different personnel matters. And I would like to get a motion.
Mr. Chair, are there two executive sessions we're gonna do? One for the new investigation, we're gonna learn about that. And then we have another matter that we're gonna be dealing with. Is that my understanding?
Well, what we can do is we could start with what we can include everybody in, and then we can go to the investigation in the second half of the executive session.
So do you wanna do you want me to make a motion now to amend the agenda? We'll tee that up first, or do you want me to wait?
No, that would be fine.
All right, so I make a motion to amend the agenda, specifically section I, executive session, to include an agenda item to discuss hiring an outside investigator based on the resumes we received and reviewed. And this is based on the approval that we granted ourselves to appoint an outside investigator. And we're going to go into executive session to discuss that and take any action coming out of executive session.
What section would you make it?
Section I, as I indicated.
B?
I don't think it matters because
Oh, just-
it's just, that's what it is, yeah. And that, also that motion to amend will strike special. From where it says special meeting, because it's not a special meeting, this is a regular meeting. So that may have been a carryover from a special meeting, because I'm not
Yeah.
sure, but this is not a special meeting and I don't want to confuse the country. The special meetings are a whole different animal.
All right, well, we need a second on that, please. Second. All in favor?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, so we also have other issues in executive session that we need to discuss that the chief and the deputy chief would like to talk to us about. Is that correct?
Sure.
And
So I can make the motion to go into executive session to discuss this personnel matter, inviting in the chief, deputy chief, and Lieutenant Sullivan. And the
second,
commission.
a second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
We got to do
So I just started the recording back again.
All right,
Being
Mr. Chairman,
recorded.
thank you. I make the motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Now, Mr. Chair, I make a motion to go back into executive session to discuss the new item placed on section I of the agenda to discuss hiring an outside investigator based on our prior approval to appoint an outside investigator and inviting just the commissioner.
Second.
Second.
I need us.
So you have one.
Second. Okay, Alex, second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I make the motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. So, we made the motion to appoint an outside investigator and go into executive session. With the understanding you would make our vote would, include the, name of the person we're appointing. We reviewed resumes in executive session and, I would like the, to appoint David Ryan as our outside investigator. Second that? Yep, second. And then any discussion?
Yeah,
Mr. Chair, do you have anything to say?
in discussion, the reason it was at the advice of the town's labor attorney. We're conducting an independent review for the full transparency purposes. This review will be assess agency policy determine whether policy was followed and make recommendations if a new policies need to be developed. And this is from the labor attorney and the town's attorney. Says it's so very important for the police commission to maintain public trust by doing this.
One last item, Mr. Chairman, we obviously are missing a commissioner.
Yes, he recused himself. That would be the commissioner's.
Okay, thank you.
I'm looking for me right now.
I have nothing else to say, so I guess we can vote.
Ben?
Do you wanna do a roll call or do we wanna?
Yeah, we'll do a roll call. Okay, Commissioner Yarnaga, how do you vote?
I vote in support of hiring Ryan for the investigation.
Okay, Mr. Giannoni, how do you vote?
I also vote in favor of hiring Attorney Ryan.
Commissioner Dyken,
I vote in favor of appointing Attorney Ryan.
and the chair, Commissioner Rogan, votes in favor of firing David Ryan. Well,
Are we good?
that's it. Okay, we need adjournment, I believe.
Make a motion. To adjourn.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Can I just photocopy that?
So-
And how about if I